Alright, for today we're doing section 6.2. Our purpose statement is sequence of steps to multiply polynomials. Now we've multiplied polynomials before, but the most often what you've done is like 2x plus 3y times 3x minus 5y. And then you either FOIL it or smiley face or claw method, whatever you use. Again, like I mentioned earlier, the FOIL works great when it's a binomial, but what happens when you have something more than a binomial? And that's what we'll be working with today. So our vocab for today is Pascal's triangle and binomial expansion. And you'll see those as we come to them. The first thing you're going to do is just multiply polynomials, like maybe 4x plus 3y plus 5 times 2x minus 2y minus 7. And so now, like I said, you can't use FOIL on this because we have three terms. So if you want to just use the claw, or you just triple distribute the 4x, so you take the 4x times everything, so we get 8x squared, and then minus 8xy, and then minus 28x. And now I take the 3y times everything. So 3y times 2x is 6xy. Again, it's a good idea to put the variables in alphabetical order so you don't not recognize like terms. 3y times negative 2y is negative 6y squared. And 3y times the negative 7 is a negative 21y. And then lastly, we would have 5 times each one. So we get 10x, and then minus 10y, and then finally minus 35. And then we combine like terms. So we start here, there's no other x squareds, so 8x squared. I'm going to go with the xy's. So we have a minus xy and a plus 6xy, so that gives me a minus 2xy. So those are gone. Then I'm going to take the x's, minus 28x plus 10x is a minus 18x. I got a minus 6y squared, no other y squareds. Then I've got a minus 21y and a minus 10y is a minus 31y. And then finally minus 35, and I've multiplied it. So no different than what we've done before, we just have to distribute that, each term, to everything in the other parentheses. So very similar to what you've done in the past. So our first example I'd like you to do is this problem. So you can pause it here, do this problem, and then I'll go through and do it so you can see how you did. So if I was doing this, 4x squared times everything, so we get 12x to the fourth, minus 20x cubed, minus 4x squared. And then I'm going to take negative 3x times everything. So we get negative 9x cubed. Negative 3 times negative 5 is a positive 15x squared. And negative 3x times negative 1 is a positive 3x. And lastly, we take 6 times both. So we get 18x squared. And then we get 6 times negative 5x is a negative 30x. And 6 times negative 1 is a negative 6. And now we combine like terms, so there's no other x to the fourth. Minus 20x to the third minus 9x to the third is a minus 29x to the third. Minus 4x squared plus 15x squared plus 18x squared. So negative 4 plus 15 is 11 plus 18 is 29x squared. And then we have 3x minus 30x is a minus 27x. minus 6, and hopefully that's what you got. So that's a part of the assignment. A big part of the assignment, though, is going to be doing what's called binomial expansion. And binomial expansion is that we're going to take a binomial. Remember, binomial is two terms. Let's just take to the fifth power. Okay? So one way to do it is simply to write it out. So x plus 4y to the fifth, so we have to multiply x plus 4y times itself 5 times. And if you were to do it this way, and this is fine if you want to do it this way on the assignment and the test, but I'll show you another way to do it, would be to take and multiply this one times this one. So we just FOIL it or claw it. X times x is x squared. X times 4y is 4xy. 4y times x is 4xy. And 4y times 4y is 16y squared. And then if I simplify that, I would have x squared plus 8xy plus 16y squared. Then I would have to take that and multiply it by the next x plus 4y. So again, what I'd have to do is take x squared times all that, then 8xy times that, and then 16y squared times that. Multiply that, combine my like terms, and then do it times the next one. Get that answer, simplify it, and then multiply it by the last one, simplify it to get the answer. You can see that would be quite a process to go through. So another way to do it is to use what's called Pascal's triangle. Pascal's triangle looks like this, and it would continue on, but let me explain. This is a mathematician that came up with this, and it's a pattern that he found that happens often in nature. But if we take this, if you imagine zeros at the front and behind, all he's doing to get the next row is the first number plus this is 1, and 1 plus 0 is 1. Then we have a 0 and a 0. 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 0 is 1. And it just continues. So you're always with 1s to start and finish with. And then you just add 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 1 is 3, 1 plus 3 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 plus 1 is 4, 1 plus 4 is 5, 4 plus 6 is 10, 6 plus 4 is 10, 4 plus 1 is 5. So if I was to do this next row, it would be 1, 6, 15, 20, 15, 6, 1. And we could just make this out as far as we need it to go. So it would be 1, 6 plus 1 is 7, 21, 35, 35, 21, 7, and 1. And that pattern would continue as far as I need it to go. So it's pretty easy for you to make this Pascal's triangle on your own. How we can use this is with binomial expansion. And that is, if it's to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power we know is 1. A plus b to the first power would just be a plus b. Well, the binomial expansion just says we can use Pascal's triangle. And so when we're using squared, it's this row here, 1, 2, 1. So the coefficients are the same. And then all you do is you start with your first term, and it starts with the highest power. And you go down 1 each time. Now, if it would help you to do this, and I'll do this as I write it out, so it's 1a squared. If I put b there, b would be to the 0 power. And then you just go the coefficient from here, which is 2. The first term, you go down 1 in the power, and then the second term, you go up 1 in the power. And the third term is your third coefficient, 1, and then a to the 0 and b to the second. Now remember, to the 0, anything to the 0 power is 1, so that just becomes the a squared. I just think people make less mistakes if they put the second term in all of them. So let me show you how this one would work that we were working with up here. And you can see the difference in working this out. So we have x plus 4y to the 5th power. So we're going to take this term right here and do it using Pascal's triangle. X plus 4y to the 5th. So first of all, the 5 tells you what row to use. So we're going to use the row here that has the 5 as the second number. Whatever that power is, you use that second coefficient here. That tells you what row you're going to use. So we're going to start with our coefficient 1, our first term, x to the 5th power, and our second term, 4y, to the 0 power. Plus, now we just continue on. This is our coefficient 5. Our first term, we go down 1 power. Our second term, we go up 1 power. Next coefficient 10, x, we go down a power to the 3rd. 4y goes up a power to the 2nd. Plus 10, x, go down a power. 4y, go up a power. 5, first term, x, go down a power. 4y, go up a power. And lastly, we'd have, I'm going to move it up here, plus 1. And then we have the first term to the 0 power. And the last term to the 5th power. So a couple things. You'll notice that always these exponents will add up to our exponent here. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. 1 plus 4 is 5. And 0 plus 5 is 5. And now we just simplify the terms. So we know that any term to the 0 power is 1, so we just get x to the 5th. Now here's where you have to start being careful. This is to the first, so this becomes 4y, so we go 5 times 4 is 20. X to the 4th, y to the 1st. Again, these will add up to the 5. Then we have, this is 10, x to the 3rd, 4y to the 2nd, 4 to the 2nd is 16, y squared. And so now we get 10 times 16 is 160, x to the 3rd, y squared. Plus 10, x squared, 4y to the 3rd, so we have to go 4 to the 3rd, which is 64. Y to the 3rd, multiply the numbers, 640, x squared, y cubed. Then we have 4 to the 4th, which would be 256, times 5. 1,280 x, y to the 4th. And lastly, we would have 4 to the 5th, because this is going to be 1. So you're going to have to go 4 to the 5th. 1024. Y to the 5th. A couple things to check when you do this. Do my powers add up to 5? So I have 5, 4 plus 1 is 5, 3 plus 2 is 5, 2 plus 3 is 5, 4 plus 1 is 5, and we have 5. So as long as my math was correct, I have expanded this correctly. You can see how that's a lot faster than if I would have done it the other way. You just have to be careful as you go through it. Now, another way some people like to do this is to simply put the numbers down and then just write the terms. So I'm always writing the two terms together. It's a good idea to put the parentheses in even if we don't need them, so that when we do need them, we're just in that habit. Then all I have to do is start with the highest power, 5, 4, whoops, 5 on the X. So start with my first term, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Then work backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Is a way to get that filled out. Whatever works best for you. So let's try another one. And something that causes problems for people is when we add a negative term. So let's do, and just a number. Let's go 3 minus 2y to the fourth. So again, the fourth power tells us we're going to start with this row. So my first coefficient is 1, 3, negative 2y, plus 4, and then 3, and negative 2y, and then plus 6, and 3, negative 2y, and then plus 4, 3, negative 2y, and then 1, 3, negative 2y, and now I just put my powers. So the highest power, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So now we just have to simplify. So we have 1, 3 to the fourth is 81, and then anything in the 0 power is 1, so we start off with 81. Now you can see here we won't get any exponents because our exponent's there's not a variable, so we don't have that written down. Plus, we put plus. So this is 4, 3 to the third is 27. Negative 2y to the first is negative 2y. So you have to be careful when you have these negative signs. Anything that 0 is 1. Here, though, we have a negative 2y. So we have 4 times 27, which is 108, times 2 is 216, but we have one negative. So we have negative 216y to the first. Then we have 6 times 9 times, this would be positive 4y squared because we have a negative 2 squared. So that would be 54, 108, again 216, but a positive 216y squared. And then we have 4 times 3, negative 2 to the third would be a negative 8y cubed. So we have 12 times 8, which would be a negative 96 y cubed. And lastly, we have 1 times 1 and negative 2 to the fourth would be 16 y to the fourth. And so plus 16 y to the fourth. And we're finished. So again, as you can see, we could, if you wanted to, you can do it this way, or you can go 3 minus 2y times 3 minus 2y times 3 minus 2y times 3 minus 2y. Okay, so we can go 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6y, and then we get another negative 6y plus 4y squared, and so that becomes 9 minus 12y plus 4y squared. Now we have to take that times 3 minus 2y. So there, there, and there. We get 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times negative 2y is negative 18y. Negative 12y times 3 is a negative 36y. 12y times negative 12 times negative 2 would be a positive 24 y squared. And then 4y squared times 3 would be 12y squared. And 4y squared times a negative 2y is a negative 8y cubed. And now we have to combine the like terms there. So we have 27. And then we have a negative 54y plus 36y squared minus 8y cubed. And now I have to take that times the last one. And then we'd have to repeat the process all over again. To get the same thing that we got when we did it the other way. So it's fine if you like doing it that way. I think it gets to where there's a lot more chance of making mistakes. But whatever way you find easier. So I'd like you now to try this problem. So again, you can pause it here, try this one. You can do it either way. When you're finished, you can come back and see how I did it. So again, if you did this, you have 2x minus 3y to the fourth. That tells us I have to use the 1, 4, 6, 4, 1 row of Pascal's triangle. So this would be 1, 2x minus 3y plus 4, 2x minus 3y plus 6, 2x minus 3y plus 4, 2x minus 3y, and then plus 1, 2x minus 3y. Highest power is 4, so 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then in reverse 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Simplifying this, 2 to the fourth. So here's where you have to be careful. This is why I write it up above so I don't get confused. So it's 1, 2 to the fourth is 16x to the fourth times 1. So our first term, you should have gotten 16x to the fourth. 4, 2 to the third is 8x cubed. Negative 3y to the first is negative 3y. So we get 4 times 8 times 3, which is 96, and we have one negative, so it's negative 96 x cubed y. And then we have 6 times 4, 3 squared is 9, and that's x squared. And so we have 24 times 9, 240 minus 24, 216 x squared y squared. And then we have 4, 2x to the first is 2x. Negative 3 to the third would be negative 27 y cubed. And so we have 8, 216. And we have one negative, so negative 216 xy to the third. And lastly, we have 1 times 1. Negative 3 to the fourth is 81 y to the fourth. So plus 81 y to the fourth. So no matter which way you did it, you should end up with this. Your numbers, your things may be in a different order if you expanded it by just distributing. but you should get this as the answer if my multiplication is correct. So that's the process. This is your assignment. Page 418, numbers 25, 27, 29, 31, and then 41 to 49, the odds. The one thing to notice on this, when you have this one's negative, it should alternate back and forth between positive and negative as you go through the problem. So a good thing to keep track of as you go through. So hopefully this helps, and good luck on